Welcome to If I May, a podcast hosted by myself, Brent, and two of my best friends, Nick and Kyle. If I May started off as an idea that, since we already were talking at least once a week, we might as well record it. We started recording in May, and despite all that life threw at us, we ended up recording 30 episodes. To celebrate that milestone and the turning of the new year, we decided to put together a list of some of our favorite If I May moments from season 1 and 2.
Our first clip captures some of the essence of what If I May is all about. Every once in a while, we would say something in an episode that would later come back and haunt us. In episode 10, we may have chosen to dedicate the absolute worst episode possible to our mothers. Take a listen.
But back to Brent swimming in the lake, talking about skinny dipping. Have either of you ever been skinny dipping?
Of course.
Brent, you have? I'm actually kind of surprised at you, Brent. Sorry.
Oh, no, it's a wonderful feeling.
Like,
it's really nice.
I agree.
Without going into too much detail, was the opposite sex present while you were skinny dipping?
Yes. Brent? Once?
It's not like I skinny dip all the time. It's not something I do all the time, but
well, as a kid, when you're watching those movies or hearing those stories about that, you're just like, what if there are girls there? That's always kind of the.
I remember,
like if it's guys, it's like, all right, nobody's interested anyway. But if there's a girl there, then you're like, well,
it's like, is it going to be cold? Am I going to be embarrassed?
Yeah.
Like, what
is there going to be shrinkage involved here?
Yeah, do I just jump in as fast as possible, or do I take my time a little bit? I don't know.
And then, do you like be a creep and watch other people, or do you just keep your head down and run straight for the water and don't look up? I mean, these are things you think about whether you want to or not.
Right? Is it like because everybody's skinny dipping? Is it socially acceptable?
What's proper etiquette
during
skinny dipping? Is it a nude beach where you're allowed to look at anybody, or what?
Well, okay, nude beaches I've heard are underwhelming as far as it's a bunch of old people and people you don't really want to look at.
If I may, I have a adventure with nude beaches. We had gone on a hike in San Diego.
Who's we?
And my wife and I went on a hike in San Diego, Torrey Pines, really pretty place, and decided instead of walking back along the road, which was the way we came, let's go on the beach. And we're walking along the beach, and it's a really nice big beach, and all of a sudden we see someone in the distance, and I had my binoculars. I'm like, it's kind of weird. Like, is everything going on? And I think I looked even through my binoculars and I was like, put that down the right way. It turns out San Diego has one nude beach. San Diego has a nude beach, and we found it of all the beaches in San Diego.
Binoculars.
It was far off though.
That's why you have the binoculars.
Yeah, but I was not expecting that. As I saw someone laying there, I was like, that's really weird. Like, it's just lots of like white. Like, where's the? No,
I've heard that nude beaches in general are also like the crappier beaches, like Stony and stuff, especially over in Europe. When we were on our cruise, we stopped at Mykonos, which apparently has a decent chunk of nude beaches. I didn't see any, but apparently there's some. But yeah, back to Nick's point.
Never anyone attractive at a nude beach though. It's always people that should not be at a nude beach that are at the nude beach.
Right. But back to Nick's point, what's the socially acceptable thing during like skinny dipping? Like, because everybody's doing it. Are you allowed to like take glances, or is that like super no? I guess
because nobody wants to be the creepy guy or girl,
right? I guess
who you're with.
When I did it, it was pretty dark out. It was during a 4th of July party, but it was pretty dark, so everybody just kind of jumped in and went for it.
I did. I don't know. I don't have experience with that, but I did do one solo, and I think my biggest worry wasn't to be like creep or anything, but if there was like a snapping turtle, watch out for that. Because I heard the pond I was in had a snapping turtle. I was like, do I really want to worry about that? But there wasn't. It's all good.
I just remember
that was my only fear.
I just remember in the Disney movie Parent Trap that when she had to go skinny dipping, they stole her clothes and ran away. That's got to be like a big paranoia.
I don't know. You gotta be comfortable in your
That'd be the worst. That'd be the worst ever. You're skinny dipping and then somebody steals your clothes. So when you get out, it's a bad situation.
It's living your best life. That's living your best life. It's a story. You can be like,
right, wrong, or indifferent, I'm one of those people who, well, at least I firmly believe, and I have no problem. I am confident with who I am, regardless of being just a sexy beast or not. Anywhere in between. I am what I am, and I kind of just take that for what it is. Maybe that was me growing up in the YMCA men's locker room, where there's dudes walking around of all different body shapes and sizes, and I just kind of
if I may, I have to interject a story here. Over college, one winter, I decided to go join Nick for some noon ball at the YMCA, and not really being a member of that particular YMCA, it was really eye-opening when he's like, well, we can go in the sauna. I was like, cool. And I didn't bring a swimsuit. He's like, oh, no worries. And there's a lot of old people that like to use the sauna, I've discovered, and I was not prepared for that, but you get used to it. I think
you get used to it. You kind of get over it. And honestly, where I'm living now, the Lifetime is the club that I'm at, and there's a hot tub, and the hot tub, they require you to wear a swimsuit. And I'm having grown up where I did, and been around the kind of people that I was, like, it was never scarred. There was never an issue. There was never anything inappropriate. Even it was just whatever. We're all men. We can all be adults. And deal with it. It was the men's adult locker room. There was a kids' locker room if they wanted to do that. But the fact that Lifetime requires you to wear a swimsuit, I almost find offensive.
If I may, what locker room has a hot tub in it?
Nice clubs.
What do you mean by club?
The YMCA in Appleton has a hot tub. The Lifetime in Minneapolis.
Inside the locker room?
Yeah. It's a pretty common thing. They have saunas, they have hot tubs, they have steam rooms. Those are pretty standard in almost all the clubs.
I don't know.
Fitness won't have one, but
I guess I don't know
any other one.
I don't know who it was, but congratulations, sir! You've scarred me for life because I still remember it. Remember when I was a kid in an YMCA, and I was changing after going swimming or whatever, and then as I was leaving, this guy butt naked steps on the scale like right in front of me. And he was like an older gentleman, so he officially scarred me for life. I still have that ingrained in my memory.
As Brent was alluding to, that's pretty much standard practice for the downtown Appleton YMCA. Like everyone's
but when I was 8, I just wasn't expecting
You've got guys sitting in towels watching Sports Center, just hanging out in the men's locker room, which is again what I was raised around. Maybe that's why I'm weird. I've even been the weirdest thing that happened in that locker room was actually when I was in college. I was hit on while I was in the shower by a clearly gay man. Now, it didn't make me uncomfortable. Again, I am who I am, but you talk about awkward situations. Like, I feel a little bit vulnerable. I'm literally in the shower getting hit on at the YMCA. That was awkward. Plus, again, not the way I swing the bat. So, multiple issues with that one. With that fun little side note about my life, let's get back on track here if we can, gentlemen.
So that was episode 10 of If I May. Hope everybody enjoyed. This episode is actually sponsored by Moms. Thank you, Moms. Mommy Kyle, Please. Mommy Brent, Mommy Nick. Thank you. Thank you to Moms.
It's not even Mother's Day.
No, it's just episode 10, special sponsor.
I swore on the Moms episode?
Yep, you swore. Congratulations, Nick. You officially swore.
Oh, God.
On the Moms.
There's also other things we talked about this episode.
Skinny dip.
But I swore on the Moms episode.
Why did you have to be the Moms episode of any of them?
It's episode 10.
Any other episode. All right, fine.
Yeah. It's episode 10. Your mom will appreciate it. Thank you. Brent, say thank you to your mom.
All right, will do.
No, right now, on air.
Oh, thank you, Mom. Listening to that clip again, we definitely did not manage to tell that story like a badass. We did, however, discuss in episode 8 things that might or might not be possible to do as a badass. It's one of our resolutions this year to actually attempt these feats.
Yeah, so for the closing segment, I got a little list here. That's a little fun list. So it's things that are impossible to do like a badass. It's just not possible to do these things. And I would challenge any of you to try to record us doing it and seeing if it works. But drinking from a carton of milk or juice.
Oh, you can do that.
Like a badass?
If you crush the milk and juice as you drink it,
a juice,
it just spills
a juice pack.
Rip down your face and just
milk. You can juice
shove it into. Well, if it's a red juice, like a grape juice, something bloody, it looks like you're blood. Just like the blood of your enemies is being like just.
All right, next one. Skipping. Yep. Do that like a badass.
If you make it hip hoppy, I'm sure you could come up with something.
Think of a horror movie and like the bad guy coming after you, but he's skipping.
I mean, if his legs were made out of like metal,
is he carrying a scythe? Like it could be kind of cool.
Chuck Norris, he's badass. Can you picture Chuck Norris skipping in your head? You can't do it
as a human.
All right, next one. Coloring with crayons.
No.
Nope. Swinging on a swing? And we're talking a playground swing.
Yeah, but you'd have to have some editing.
Jumping in puddles.
Yes. Puddles are good.
Do you think you do that? Okay.
It's like stopping, like... Yeah.
Oh, I guess, okay, I take that one back. Because, I guess if you had like a partially flooded street kind of deal, and you're running at somebody in the water, maybe.
And the water flies up behind you in some majestic wave. Yeah, okay.
All right. Charging batteries.
The what?
Charging batteries. You can't do it.
How does someone charge a battery?
You plug it into the charger. That's all you do. You can't do it. Here's a good one. Here's a good one.
Possible.
Tandem biking.
I've done that.
But there's no way. There's no way.
No, you can't do that.
You can't do it with a bicycle? No way.
I mean, maybe
if you're both drinking and shirtless and ripped, and there are women on either side of you, it can be done.
The problem is a lot of tandem bikes are super thin, which is where the tandem bike thing comes. But if it's like a hardcore, like biker bike, like maybe.
Okay, similar mentality.
Drinking from a straw.
Oh, that's a good one. That's a good one.
I've got nothing against it. I do it all the time. We all do, although apparently we're not supposed to because straws are bad for the environment. But
and illegal
as a man, I just don't see that as badass or manly or whatever. Anytime you drink from a straw, you're just being lazy. I don't know.
Okay. Similar to the other one, two dudes on a moped. Nope. Can't do it.
No.
Motorcycle.
Okay, here's a good one.
No.
Brent, I need your opinion on this one, Brent. Smelling flowers.
It could be done manly.
Yes, you could definitely do it.
Right.
You're surrounded. You're smelling flowers that beautiful ladies are like. No, you have beautiful ladies giving you the flower that you're smelling. Yeah, you could do it.
All right. Face painting. And I'm talking like the carnival stuff where they're putting rainbows on your face and that kind of stuff. Like, playing Minecraft. Oh, that one's a little weird.
Playing anything.
Yeah, playing any video game. It came from the raged kids, like the videos the kids raging at their stuff.
You feel like smashing the computer, maybe, but then you just look like an idiot.
Exactly. I'm a badass. Oh shit. Okay, last one.
Like, there's $100.
All right, last one is licking an ice cream cone or lollipop. Like think of one of those giant lollipops. No way.
Not BA though. You could make it look like sexy or something, but you could not make it look
not bad. Not BA. All right, but that's all I got.
You know what would be badass?
What?
Getting a celebrity guest. Every podcast just dreams of having that one special guest to grace their presence on the show. For us, we've always dreamed of having the biggest celebrity to come out of Appleton, besides potentially Harry Houdini, Willem Dafoe. In episode 19, we did our best to attempt to get him to join us on the show. Willem, if you're out there, please do consider helping us out for an episode.
Like, Tobey Maguire was the worst Spider-Man ever.
He was the worst Spider-Man in Spider-Man 3. I think he was okay otherwise.
His first two were fine. I will say Willem Dafoe is the redeeming thing of that franchise. Just having him in that movie, Appleton native, really, he brought it. He was a Green Goblin. He'll always be.
He doesn't like Appleton, for the record.
I don't care. Whatever. We can still claim him. He's obviously acting when he said he didn't like it. So.
Yeah, there you go.
He's a professional actor. I mean,
speaking of Appleton, I don't like Harry Houdini. Some people may not know. He wasn't born in Appleton, but he grew up in Appleton. Like a lot of his childhood was in Appleton. Like, that's an interesting dude. And actually, the more I learned about him growing up, because everybody kind of learned about him, he wasn't actually like a magician per se, but more of an escape artist. And a lot of his stuff was like David Blaine-esque, where it's like he's legitimately holding his breath for that long for this illusion / escape.
Yeah, I mean, I'm more of an illusionist maybe, but unlike Willem Dafoe, I believe Houdini actually did like Appleton, so at least we got that going for us. At least that's what I've heard.
Yeah, I'm not trying to knock it or say it's bad myself. I'm just commenting that, he may not love that we're claiming him.
Well, he gets claimed anyway.
Yeah, where else is he going to get claimed? Where else is he going to get claimed? I hope he listens to this, and we'll have him on the show. Willem, this is an open invitation. Anytime you want to discuss any of your movies or Appleton, you can trash it all you want. I don't care. We're here for you. We're here for you.
That goes for any famous person.
Yeah, we'll talk about whatever.
We'll talk to Kim Jong.
No. Willem Dafoe or bust.
Only Willem Dafoe. That's going to be...
He's the only one we want.
Sorry, we don't talk to celebrities. We will only address celebrities after we've spoken with Mr. Dafoe.
My goal for in the next 100 episodes is that we had to get Willem Dafoe on this.
I think it'll take more than 100 episodes personally, but you never know. No. If Ellen sees an episode, and gets us on Ellen, then there's a chance. But until that happens, I think we're pretty.
Sorry, was that not clear? We're not talking to any celebrities until we talk to Willem Dafoe.
Has to be him first. I think
Dafoe or bust.
If we get a breakthrough, somehow it better come through Dafoe. Otherwise, we don't accept it.
We need like a sick child or something that's going to get us some like feel good.
Let's not go with sick child. Let's think of something.
We need a gimmick here.
Our resolve. Dafoe or bust.
This year, we spent a good amount of time traveling on the road. Whether for business or pleasure, we had to come up with some pretty creative ways to continue producing weekly episodes. Usually, it meant one of us recording from some crappy hotel internet, usually from like New York City or Austin. Actually, even one time, Kyle recorded live from the Mediterranean Sea while he was on a cruise for his honeymoon. That was dedication. I think one of the most creative workarounds we came up with involved Nick calling in by phone and us recording it through the mic. Take a listen.
This is Nick, and I am currently mobile.
And I'm Kyle. I live near a city of quitters.
And this is If I May, episode 13. Let's go. So, Nick, we'll start with you since you are mobile.
Yes, currently I have made my way to Houghton, and am in the car as I am arriving shortly. And, I find myself in Houghton on a Tuesday, because that's when the club goes up. Not actually. I ended up having some additional time off with HR taking too much time to process my paperwork. My initial start date was going to be Monday of this week. However, when the paperwork's not done, they have to push me back to the following Monday. So one more week of vacation. Oh, darn.
That sounds terrible.
And with that, Megan and I have decided to head up to Houghton. As a surprise guest entrance, we actually have Megan here who'd like to say a few very brief words with us.
Oh, we got a Megan.
Wow. Hey, Megan.
Ghost and I have been passengers on this Houghton trip.
What was that?
So yes, Ghost and she are passengers on this lovely Houghton trip.
Nice. So Houghton, that's up into UP there, hey.
Up yonder, up here with the Ubers. But it's been kind of cool.
How's the snow?
What's that?
Brent was wondering how the snow was.
Oh, the snow is quite lovely. At this time of year, there's only 3 or 4 feet on the ground. No, actually, it's of course, no snow. But it's been fun to check out what we can see, at least right now, of coming in while it's dark, the damage, the road repairs that have been going on. Couldn't see a whole lot with how dark it is, but I look forward to seeing a lot of that. We'll see if there's any raspberries in the patch and spend some time checking things out for wedding situations, lots of research to do. So partial relaxation and getting some fresh air in the wilderness up here, and partial bit of a working trip. So should be fun, but not a whole lot of time as we got to get inside and say hello to my mother. So with that, gentlemen, Megan, I, and Ghost will leave you to finish the podcast. Godspeed.
Thank you, Nick. Appreciate it. We'll continue on, and we actually have another special guest, which you'll hear here in a second, from the Army. So that'll be pretty neat this episode.
Excellent.
Awesome, and have a good trip and say hi to the family for me.
Will do. Bye.
Catch you later, Nick.
Not only did Nick's fiance Megan appear as our very first guest on the show, but because of Nick's absence, it led us to inviting in a guest host, Dylan. Dylan, who's a close friend of the show, is in the Army and gave us a little bit of an inside look at what life is like during basic training.
So, special guest Dylan here. So he's been in the Army for about a year now. He was a platoon leader or something like that in basic training. He's in the airborne, and he fixes the badass custom helicopters that the people fly into battle. So,
you want me to just kind of dive in right here?
Yeah. What do you do? What's your job? What do you got going on in the Army?
Okay, so I am currently my MOS, which is my military occupational specialty. Basically, I chose to become a I guess 860 Black Hawk mechanic initially. Now I currently work on MH60 specialized helicopters. But anyways, like he was saying, I was a platoon leader in basic training, and that's one of those things that just kind of happens. You don't really choose to be a platoon leader. It just kind of things happen, and you get put in that position.
Is that an honor, or is that something that's like?
Is it an honor or a curse?
I don't know.
We're blaming you.
Yeah, so like an honor sounds like it's a good thing, but it was a lot of work and a lot of stress to be platoon leader. I don't really know if it was worth it because while we're like out in training and stuff, people underestimate how much it sucks to be platoon leader. Other people get to rest and stuff. So say we're out on a field training exercise, a FTX, and people are complaining about only getting to sleep an hour here, an hour there, and only getting like a couple hours of sleep. But what they don't realize is that the platoon leader and my squad leaders, basically we wouldn't get any sleep. And it was like, I would have multiple FTXs where we'd stay up for 72 hours at least without sleeping. And that was normal. So, it was kind of fun to be a platoon leader, but I don't know if it was really worth extra stress. But it was cool to I definitely spent a lot more one-on-one time with the drill sergeants, which also most people would be like, why would you want to spend extra time with the drill sergeants? But they're people too, and they have initially they're up in your face and they're yelling and stuff, but most of them, like I said, they're just people, and they have to kind of act that way to get you transitioned over to the lifestyle.
I remember talking to you before you went, or after you came out of basic training, you were saying because you were slightly physical fit, the physical part wasn't that bad, but it was more the mental toughness that kind of thing that was more tested for you anyway.
Yeah, like I said, I really didn't get that much sleep. I had to be in charge, so I had to be the leader. I couldn't show emotions. I don't know. I just had to be the person that everyone went to ask questions and stuff, even though it was my first time going through all this stuff too. So it was a little emotionally taxing on me, but I was more whenever they call it getting smoked, is when you screw up and they make you do push-ups and sit-ups and all that. Usually if we ever get smoked, I was more angry that people were making mistakes than the fact that we were getting smoked. So I really didn't care that we were doing all these exercises. I was more upset at the fact that people were making mistakes.
No, so
you said that you went on 72 hours of sleep. That's pretty much a human limit. And if you did that multiple times, how did that kind of affect you as the 10 weeks went on?
Well, like we only did a couple FTXs. That after throughout 10 weeks, like only having a couple weekends where you're up that long, it really doesn't affect you that much in the long run. But I did notice that I start hallucinating around that time, about 70 hours. I start hallucinating.
Nice.
That's usually pretty common. Yeah. So it's not like, and it's surprising how functional you can still be. Obviously, you kind of feel like a zombie, but you can still like get your job done, and it was kind of like an eye opener that like you can get so much done going through this.
Speaking of guests, necessity forced us to get creative with finding guests. Nick and I went to Redneck Christmas, aka hunting season, which we're going to cover in just a little bit. Luckily, Kyle has the perfect number of brothers to serve as co-hosts. With each of them having a camp background, you just knew that some shenanigans would be abound. In this case, Kyle's younger brother Cody shares an interesting take on what happens behind the scenes at camp when the campers go to bed.
So one thing we all have in common, besides the fact that we are brothers and came out of the same mother and father, is that we all attended and worked at the same camp. So I thought it might be funny to go around and kind of talk about a camp story that you have, that fun time you had at camp. Obviously, we don't want to necessarily say the name of the camp because we're probably going to say things that we did at the camp that might not have been Boy Scouty per se, but we had definitely some fun times. Does anybody want to go first?
Yeah, I can start things off.
All right.
Being the wild adventurer that I am, one time at the camp, we played a pretty heated game of Truth or Dare, and
oh boy,
yeah, as we know, that can get pretty great. I mean, you start off casually with some truths and maybe an occasional risky dare. Nothing too extreme at first, but as the night progresses, the dares get more and more extreme. And one of the dares that I actually dared to one of my coworkers was to go outside and just streak around the entire camp, like do a lap around camp.
Oh, so you dared somebody to do this?
I dared somebody to do this. But this dare was that the dude said no, so I'm like, fuck it, I'm gonna run around and streak and do your dare for you.
So you proposed as a dare.
Yeah, and he said no. He chickened out on me majorly. So well, I'm like, okay,
what was the guy's first name? Do I know him?
No, you wouldn't know him.
Oh, it was after my time?
After your time.
Oh.
Well, technically during your time, but not exactly.
What?
Okay, so I worked at 2 camps. So this is technically a story in my younger years, because by the time I got to the camp that we're referring to, I had to kind of be a role model. And at the time, I certainly was not a role model.
Yeah, the story I got's also from my younger years at camp. Once you get to a certain point, number one, that stuff's just not quite as fun anymore. But number two, you get judged hard if
hardcore.
Oh yeah.
And now thinking about it, I probably shouldn't have leaded with, "Hey guys, I'm a teacher." But hey, in my younger years, I streaked around.
If you see a teacher streaking around the school,
no.
Good start.
These were my teen years, guys. I was wild back then. Not
wild.
As adventurous anymore. Wild. Your typical 14-year-old stupid shit that you do. Was this your CIT year? No, my CIT year I had no balls, so I didn't do anything crazy my CIT year except try to blend in, because I thought I was like top notch coming in, and then immediately the staff just put me in my place.
So I will admit I've never been streaking, so I have questions. Question number one: would you do it again? Like, if you know nobody was going to see you, would you run in the nude again?
That is such a depends on the time and place kind of question.
Let's say you own yourself your own mini mansion with a workout room, and you have a treadmill in your own personal house workout room, nobody's ever going to see you. Would you? I guess my main question is running naked a good experience, or would you pass on that?
It's at the time it was quite. It felt pretty good. You get a nice breeze. And it really wasn't bad. And on a full-on sprint.
I mean, there's no chafing, right? Like
no chafing. No chafing at all.
Yeah, because it's instantly dried.
Exactly. So yeah, it was an interesting experience. As far as would I do that again, with everything that I've got going on me, like I can see something like in the privacy of my own home. Would I just like make mac and cheese in the nude? Probably. I could see if it was just me there doing it. No roommates, nothing to worry about. Sure, I'd let it all hang out. But as far as in public now, not a good idea. Just with everything that's going for me now, I can't exactly interview for a job and say, yo, how's it going? I streak.
Oh, you're that one
It just doesn't work like that.
You're a streaker. Colin is looking more and more scarred the longer we talk about this.
I know. We should probably change the subject before, So that was probably one of the craziest things that I've done when in my youth. There have definitely been other things that I've done that have been just as crazy, but that's definitely been one of the big ones.
See, like with the whole, I think I said it on an earlier episode, but like the whole thing about like even like skinny dipping, I'd be so paranoid that somebody's just going to take all your clothes. And then the moment you get back, you're just screwed.
If I may, you really do need to know the people that you're with. Be able to
and
trust
then the people
them
at the camp I know would potentially steal all the clothes.
Yeah. The good thing about my adventure was it happened very close to midnight, so everybody was asleep, and we really didn't get, like, I would say terribly close to any places that we knew campers would be at. So we didn't, like, deliberately streak through a campsite.
Oh, wait. You just said we. So you weren't alone in this venture?
Okay. So to add on to the story, so I tell the guy he's kind of a chicken. He chickened out of it. I said, all right, I'll go. And then the other guys that I'm with say, screw it, we'll go too. So, so there's probably about a group of 3 or 4 of us that just took a lap. It was kind of funny because we were in a cabin at the time and we had most of the cabin involved. And yeah, I think just about everybody from the cabin did it except for the guy that we originally dared.
he wasn't working at the camp the next year.
It was kind of funny.
You're not a true bro unless you go streaking with us.
It was pretty great. It was like a pack mentality at that point where we're like, we're just going to go for it. And what happens after that. But hey, it all worked out.
Listeners of the show will not be surprised to hear that a major part of Nick's life revolves around hunting. This year, Brent was fortunate enough to take part in this experience, and the two of them shared why they missed an episode this past November.
It was hunting season in the Upper Peninsula of Michigan, which is where I do all of my hunting. And I was able to go up a little bit early with my work schedule, with my flexibility as well. I was able to work from camp an extra day or two because we do have internet at our camp. When I say camp, it's not like, go pitch a tent and start a campfire. We have a fire, but it's in a fireplace in our cabin.
This cabin is like a barracks, basically.
Oh yeah.
Essentially, I mean, yeah, you got beer, guns, and beds. That's about all we got.
It's a barracks.
But it works out nicely. We're very fortunate. Very fortunate starting out with some snow on the ground, which made things nice. Got to hunt all of opening day. After that, Brent made his way up. I'll let him discuss his filter-free interpretation of our hunting situation and his experiences. But all in all, it was another successful year. Most of my family gets up to hunting camp at some point during the season, the 2-week period. If after 2 weeks, I'm like, I gotta go shower. We have a shower.
Don't shower for 2 weeks.
But when you care with 15 people, it's not much of a shower.
I mean, yeah, it's, you just hope no one's doing dishes, because then the water temperature gets all over the place. But all in all, very successful season. Got to see the family, which is the one time a year you really get to see everybody. A few
Hunting
other connections
season?
you make throughout the year.
That's the Nick family get together as hunting season.
Yes, I basically explain it to my coworkers and my boss. This is my Christmas. November 15th is my Christmas day. All in all, a very good season. I did not get a trophy deer, unfortunately. Fortunately, I did get 2 smaller deer. Took a doe and another one. And got meat in the freezer. We're going to turn
another one. He doesn't want to
into...
admit that the second deer was just like a little spiker buck.
Yeah, no. Well, I was meat hunting. We don't shoot smaller bucks, and I mean I passed up on 3 different small 8s, but we try not to shoot small 8s because we want big 8s. But it was the last day, on the last night of me being willing to shoot something, and I was meat hunting, so I took a small spike, and I mean I had let how many spikes go, how many smaller bucks go, but there weren't any does in range, so I took the spike and just said, well, I have a tag for it. It's legal. But I ended up with the 2 deer. So half of it's going to be breakfast sausage, which is amazing. And then the other half is going to be steaks and stew meat. We're huge fans of.
I apologize for my disappearance the last few weeks for fans of the podcast, all one of you, or whatever it is at the point. But I was up with Nick for a while, literally out of any sort of range of any form of communication, which was excellent to disconnect. Rural America, that kind of thing.
Boondocks, huh?
The boondocks.
Wisconsin.
The boondocks of
area, Fox Valley is now boondocks.
Hunting camp, I went up pretty much the day after I flew in, and it was phenomenal. I really loved it. I will say it has messed with my sleep schedule in that I don't know if I've even recovered yet. Because I flew over on the Pacific time. It's, well, the 5:30 time that we'd wake up at hunting camp was 3:30 Pacific time, what I'm used to. So it was more like my brain, my body had no clue where we were. Not only did we get like less sleep because we'd stay up to decently late hours, but then waking up super early was just like, I have no clue. Plus, Nick was smart and slept downstairs on the couch. I was up in the bunk room, in the barracks, living with 14 other people who the only reason I didn't hear him snore was because the fans were on. There were so many fans up there that all you could hear was fans constantly twirling. I guess maybe I was right next to him when I slept, but oh my gosh, it was.
It's either the consistent white noise of a fan, the crying of one of the babies, because yes, we have babies out there, and
they put babies up in the bunk room,
or my uncles and grandparents and myself now too, snoring. Take your pick.
Yeah. Let's just say by the last day of me being up there, I was up there for 3 days, about 2.5 days. By the last one, I was wiped. As Nick chastised me. Nick chastised me at one point on the Saturday or Sunday morning. I was up there for sleeping on the watch, and I was like, "I'm sorry, I have no control over any of this."
So what was the stand situation? I know that. Sorry, if I may. I know that Nick built his own stand. You guys just both in the same stand, just looking down different lanes.
Yeah.
So one thing that's different from Seattle is the UP is cold. It's really cold. And when you're sitting out there in a deer stand, not moving around, and of course, like all I can pack is what I can carry on to a plane. So I'm just like freezing my butt off. We hunted mainly out of Nick's. Nick's
when were you cold in my blind?
No, not your blind. I was getting to that. Your blind was nice. The other blind with the heater that was like running real low on gas and definitely was not really insulated. Part of my legs at least were freezing, but that's on me. I should have packed better. But overall, we hunted mainly out of Nick's blind, especially like in the mornings till we went out. Which was
some Nick hunting,
kind of like watching. A real Brent sleeping sort of Nick hunting.
There was one point where he started to snore, and the way my blind is set up, I have three shooting paths. Two of them are definitely like alleys, and one of them's like a kind of a open area that you're never going to get a shot out of. You can see deer, but you can't really get a good look at it. But the way we were set up, I sit on one side and I have a really great view of one path, and he sits on the other side and he's got a really great view of the other path. And knowing where the deer come from, I can sit here and tell you, here's exactly where you need to look. And I'm paying attention to my spot, and every once in a while, just to be thorough, because it's a limited view. I'm sitting in a different spot. You just kind of, no, not that bad. We're like cross paths, but because the windows are small, you want small windows on a deer blind, because that way you can move around and the deer can't see you as well. But you have these small windows to look out of the blind, and typically you watch your spot, and then every once in a while, just because you have a different angle from where you're sitting, you kind of lean back and peek at the other guy's spot. But if he's watching his spot at all, you're good. Well, Brent's snoring, and I just like.
All right, if I may,
if you're going to take a nap,
points on this.
If you're going to take a nap, fine, but you need to let me know first.
And you need to not be snoring.
Nobody's watching over there.
If I may, I have counterpoints on this. Not single deer, at least when I was there, walked in from that side. So I felt like my thought process into this was, man, I'm really tired. I'm not going to see a deer anyways, which isn't the right mindset, but that's what I was thinking at the time. And then secondly,
all my deer came from that alley this year.
They were all coming from that back right. They were coming from that back right. Anyway, so then my other thought was, it's really foggy in the morning. It's super dark. My night vision's horrible. I can't, I have my glasses on. They're sort of, I don't know. I just couldn't really see. Nick, to get a good view, opens up his gun window, which is fine. You need to be able to get the gun out to point if something comes by, and so you can hear better. But then that pushes the double pane into my view. So it's so foggy, I just can't see out of it anyway. I was like, that was only the last day. I was also super sleep deprived at that point. I was, I think, a pretty decent deer watcher the rest of the time, including when Nick got his doe, which was pretty cool to see him tag it. That was pretty sweet.
Did you help with the gutting?
Yes, he let me do it this year.
Oh, you did the gutting?
I've come up last year too.
Nick, you basically just instructed Brent on the gutting process?
Yeah, my cousin Eric, who's more experienced than I am, and I've gutted maybe 7 deer in my life, ballpark figure. I did 4 last year, but I've gutted a number of times, and I only had to do the one this year. I could have done another one, but my cousin stepped up and did it. But yeah, it was Eric and I instructing, and it was he handled it.
Well, it might have been a painful experience for these experienced pros to kind of like, come on, man, like you gotta get in there, you gotta pull. I was just, I'm down in a t-shirt. It's probably less than 40 degrees, 35 degrees maybe, and I'm just like, I just go into that deer. You reach all the way up to the.
That's it. For those who are a little squeamish, we're about to get into a detail here. If you want to like skip ahead 2-3 minutes, Kyle, if you can give like a safe call at some point. I don't know how you want to handle that, but yeah, watching him try to figure out how far to reach up, because as part
of the throat,
as part of field dressing the deer, after you cut open the pelvis and the stomach and you work your way up, you have to get through the diaphragm essentially of the deer. And you can either, if it's a younger deer, you can just use your fingers and get through it, or you can take your knife and cut it open. And then after that, you're into the chest cavity. And once you're in the chest cavity, you got the lungs, you got the heart, you got all that lovely stuff going up there. You have to reach past all of that, grab the throat, essentially, the trachea. Yes. I don't know. Get Heather over here to tell us what the terminology is, but you essentially grab the throat from the inside and you just pull and you rip everything out. manually, and you pull it out, and with that will come the lungs, the heart, the liver, the stomach, all of it. Once you have that, you pull it all out, and you just kind of roll this mass of organs out of the bottom, which you've cut open as far as the pelvis for easy exit. And we were trying to get Brent to get up there, and he wasn't understanding at first, which is pretty normal. It's not like he wasn't ready for it. He did a great job.
You don't stick your arm inside of a deer every day.
You don't stick an arm up inside of something.
Right. But as you're describing it, you're just like, see, Brent, the throat on the deer outside is up here. Up here. You're going to put your hand inside of it all the way up. to tell a person that is not a normal thing, for them to actually do that for the first time is strange, I can imagine.
I would say the other strange moment would be just take the knife and cut through the butthole. Like, I did not expect to hear that at some point.
You have to cut around the butthole, in order to, once you cut open the pelvis for the easy exit of everything, one of the first things you do is you essentially saw or break the pelvis to open up the hips to allow everything to flow out nicely, because you've got all the digestive stuff, and that's a lot of good meat around there. So as part of doing that, you essentially cut around its asshole is the terminology, without trying to be coarse. Arsehole. You cut around that, and then the whole thing comes out, but you have to cut it, otherwise it's just part of the pelt, which is not what you want. So
deer gutting talk. Great topic.
And the best part too was that I'm cutting through this part, and then there's one of his cousins or someone was like, "Oh yeah, and those are the tenderloins." I'm just like, "Great, that's what we're eating. We're eating like it's tenderloins." Like,
that's why you got to cut around the butt nicely. That way you don't get any of that stuff in your meat.
Well, right, everything around the butthole is good meat.
When you podcast with an engineer, there are bound to be a few innovations that occasionally pop up. Kyle's peak innovation occurred in the first episode when he brought the idea of putting pockets in boxers, which led to a lively discussion.
Haven't had a good idea since. Speaking of pockets, if I may, I have a great topic, and I think it needs to be done. Why are there not boxers with a cell phone pocket in them?
If I may, why? Like, you don't walk around in boxers out in public. Why do you need
for when I'm in my apartment, as I am right now, in my boxers, and I want to carry my cell phone around with me, and you're like, oh crap, where did I set down my cell phone? And then either you're carrying it or you're setting it down. If you set it down somewhere, I'm going to lose it. Like, do you two do housework in your boxers?
No.
What?
You have to
if I may, first. I'm going to spare anyone and everyone the mental images that are being processed.
Nobody knows what you look like.
You're walking around in your boxers and whatever it is the rest of us do.
I think there needs to be a pocket in my boxers for my cell phone.
If I may, the problem would be solved instead with like a waistband that you can just put around your waist that can carry yourself.
If I may, is that not the point of a waistband to be a?
No, I'm just saying, like you start with boxers, but then you have to
see what you need is a fanny pack.
Yes.
Hold on, does that go in and around the fanny? I'm confused.
I must say, the very top moment of the show to this point was probably the most surprising as well. Unbeknownst to Brent, Nick and myself schemed out a very special announcement that we did live on the podcast without Brent knowing it was coming. Take a listen.
If you could just shut up for one hot second, I'm asking Kyle an important question.
Wait, are you serious?
This could be
Kyle,
a podcast moment.
Would you please stand at my wedding? I would be honored to have you.
Are you actually serious, or is this like a joke?
No, why is this not for the podcast?
We're roommates, friends. We play games most nights of the week. I would be honored to have you stand in my wedding, sir.
That would be awesome. I would love to. I would be honored.
Yeah,
thank you.
Yeah, absolutely.
I made the cut. Oh, nice.
Congratulations. Absolutely.
That was a beautiful moment,
right?
Yeah. Kyle, in moments like these, it's if I can get up on my high horse here. In moments like these, it's a lot of men would look for a good man, and I can say confidently that I've got some.
I'm a pretty good man.
I'd say you're more than a good man, Kyle. I'd say you're a great man. But
thanks.
But for my wedding, I don't know. I'm looking for. Well, let's be honest. I think Kyle. We are in the presence of not a great man, but the best man.
Oh,
the best one. The best.
Brent, would you be my best man?
I would be honored. Whoa. What? Heather knows?
I don't know. Heather knows.
Oh, Sarah got ratted out. Oh, I'm honored. I accept.
Yeah, well,
I imagine you're doing this on
I don't accept.
So hope you guys enjoyed the kind of hodgepodge episode of kind of the best of 2018 from If I May. I mean, everybody always says that it's like, I hope the next year is better than the previous year. But no, I think, 2018 was good. 2019 will be good as well. And If I May, will continue into 2019. So if you guys enjoyed the little best of, stick around and we'll have more to come. Thanks for listening, and we'll see you guys next time.